Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are across the world. Thank you for joining us. Today is our Time Just Chat session, and this is a special session on a Sunday morning. We all have our tea with us. How about you? So we are going to have an exciting session today. I'm so excited to learn. I've heard about all these practitioners, medicine, all the traditional medicine, the complementary medicine, but today I'm going to learn a lot, and I hope you are going to gather a lot of information from the experts here. This session is brought to you by Mentorship Inc. and by Craft Productions. So thank you so much. Thank you to all the panelists who are here. I'm going to very briefly introduce you, and then as we move along, we'll speak a lot about your background and experience on everything that we have today, right? So, Dr. Jagannath, thank you so much for joining us. You are the Siddha expert coming from Kerala. You are the vice principal of the Siddha Sandgiri College. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Very nice. Thank you for joining us. We have Dr. Asiya Sultana from AMU, and she is the super specialist of the Unani practicing medicine. So thank you, Dr. Asiya, for joining us. We have Dr. C.K. Ashok Kumar, all the way joining from Tamil Nadu, and he calls himself an ambassador, and so does everybody of the AYUSH. So thank you for joining us, Dr. C.K. Ashok. Apart from wearing several other hats, you're also the founder of the First World Community. So thank you for joining us. We have Dr. Syed Asaduddin Ahmed. Thank you for joining us. All the way from Sharjah, right? So I believe it's 6 p.m. over there. Thank you for joining. Unani, we can't wait to hear or learn more about what Unani is. And then we have Dr. Benz. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Benz from Florida, Georgia. And Dr. Benz is all about naturopathy, nutrition, and he has done his PhD in nutrition. So you can imagine what we are going to learn about nutrition today. Dr. Hina, a very good friend from a long time, a homeopathic practitioner, and right next to my city in Atlanta here. So thank you, Hina. She's already nodding her head, so that's a good sign. Thank you for joining us, Hina. We have Yashashvi from Connecticut joining us today this morning. Is a homeopathic practitioner. So thank you, Yashashvi, for joining us. We can't wait to hear or learn more about what it's all about and the medicines and the treatment and the skills that you bring to the table. We have Ravindra Singh. Ravindra Singh, thank you so much for joining all the way from Bengaluru, India. Yes. Bengaluru is close to my heart as well. You have been a pharmacist, but you are into yoga. You're teaching yoga now, and seems to be your passion. So all the better when you're doing something that's out of your passion. So thank you for joining us. We are indeed waiting for another panelist, Dr. Gautman, who should be joining us. So when he joins, I'll definitely make the introduction. But our agenda for today it's a moderated session. If you attended our Time Just Chat sessions in the previous months, or almost almost going to be 3 years, you would know it's a moderated session. We do have a Q&A session towards the end where we do ask some of the questions that you have already posted when you registered, right? So our agenda is we're going to start with the panel discussion. I'm going to ask some warm-up questions of all the panelists before we go to the core session of today, and which is Ayushpati, right? Ayushpati is Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and homeopathy, and of course naturopathy comes in along with it. And at 8, probably in an hour or so, we'll have a yoga demonstration by a father and a son, Gajendran and his son, probably for 6 to 7 minutes yoga presentation, and you'll be amazed by it. And then we'll continue our discussion. So let's go to our discussion. Thank you again, all of you, for joining. So Dr. Jagannath, the first question is for you. What is your favorite song and why? Go ahead, Dr. Jagannath.
My favorite song is it's a Tamil song, Amma Endra Alaikada Uyirillaye, sung by Gana Gandharvan Yeshudas. Because I love my mother very much.
Oh, very nice.
But she is no more now.
I'm sorry. Okay. So that's good to know. You're living in Kerala and you appreciate the Tamil song. So good to know, Dr. Jagannath. And we're very happy that you're here going to talk about Siddha today. So also audience and listeners and viewers, please bear with us if you do see some technical difficulties. As you all know, we are all living in the online world and how busy the traffic can get in online. So hopefully we'll get back to normal, or if any of us get booted out, we'll probably come back soon to continue the conversation. So Dr. Asiya, the next question is for you. If you were to write a book about yourself, what would it be about? Can you unmute yourself? Go ahead.
Write a book about me.
Yes, what would it be about?
It would be about working, because in living in India, I feel that women, they have to strive in adversity most of the time, and they have to come out with they're expected to come out with something really good all the time. So women are supposed to do good, and they have to strengthen, they have to channelize their inner energies. And of course, they usually carry the burden of the stereotype that society holds for them. So I would like to write a book to address the women of the world, to come out of the adversity at their own and to break the glass ceiling.
Very nice, well said, and we wish you the best continued success. As I think across the world, I think we're getting better, and we can do better, much better as well. So all the best to you, Dr. Asiya. Dr. Syed Asaduddin Ahmed, the question is for you. If you had a magic stick, which are the 3 things you would use it to change the world?
Yeah, 3 things. First of all, good morning, everybody. And first of all, I'm thankful to I'm invited as a panelist here. So 3 things in the world. Yeah, obviously, anybody doesn't want any sort of diseases. So first of all, we want all of us to be healthy. So now in this situation of such a pandemic, so anybody wants that. So not sitting at home, going out and have the life as normal. So one thing would be that. Secondly, the mainly means peace everywhere, all around the world. And thirdly, brotherhood and friendliness and union with everybody.
Very nice. And all your wishes, does that have anything to do with Unani?
Audiovisual, you mean?
No, I was just teasing you, Dr. Syed. No, I said, does it have anything to do with Unani? All your wishes. No, you're fine. Don't worry. We'll go back to our next question. So I think, Hina, I must have mentioned you as a homeopathic doctor. You're actually an Ayurvedic doctor. I must have said it by mistake. But thank you for being here. And Hina, what is your greatest fear and how do you manage fear?
Thank you so much, Nazira, for that a comment. Yes, I'm an Ayurvedic doctor, but as you know, I respect all pathies because they all are perfect in their own principles, right? So thank you for that question too. Good morning, good evening, everybody. My greatest fear, that's a good question, Nazira. My greatest fear is our next generation, and I'll tell you why. For them, everything is virtual. There are very few youngsters or even kids who know almost the basic principles of nature. And we, as our generation, and of course our earlier generation, we are responsible to teach them what is real and what is virtual. So my greatest fear is, yes, how to explain the next generation that what is virtual and what is not, what is real and what is not. And how I come out of it, I started taking my own kids, my nieces, my nephews. I started slowly feeding them the information, which is the most important part of our life, our health, our most important asset, and how we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. We are part of this universe, and it is definitely our responsibility to take care of Mother Nature. Does that answer your question?
Yes, definitely it does. And you've gone beyond. So very rightfully so. Dr. Ashok, the next question is for you. If you won $1 million, what would you do?
$1 million.
Yes.
So I will donate to people who are in the pandemic. So many people need money. So I will happily donate to them. Because I see the more you give, the more you get. So I will be happily giving back to the people who need most. Because happily God has given me enough resources. I think I'm happy that I'm in a position to give more, not to receive. So I'm very happy about it. Yeah.
It is very rightfully said. Gratification is in giving, not by taking. So thank you for reiterating that today. Dr. Benz, thank you. Dr. Benz, what does life mean to you? If you can unmute yourself, please. Dr. Benz, can you unmute yourself?
Life to me was explained by a Buddhist teacher several years ago when I asked what the meaning of life was. She said, lifelong learning for the benefit of others. So to me, my day begins and ends with learning and sharing that learning with others. And the learning is always about cellular science and about avoiding 80 to 90% of disease, because with the right science and the right education, 80 to 90% of disease is completely unnecessary. And so that's how I spend every day, and that's how I'll spend the rest of my life until I feel like I can rest in peace that I've made a difference.
Very nice. Thank you, Dr. Benz. And Dr. Ashok, if you can mute yourself and you can unmute when you're speaking. Thank you. Okay. So the next question is for Yashasvi. Who is someone that you admire or respect, and why, Yashasvi?
So there are so many people that I look up to, but among everybody, my parents first, obviously, because everything that I have learned is thanks to them. They brought me into this world and gave me all the right education, the right tools, the right everything to make me who I am today. And the other person, most important person, is Dada J.P. Vaswani. So Dada J.P. Vaswani is our spiritual leader. He passed away at the age of 100. And I try to live by his principles every day of my life. And he always said to help as many people as you can and as many ways as you can, and never stop helping. So even if you can help one person a day, your day is done. So I try to live by his principle every single day of my life.
And that's one of the greatest principles to live by, makes you healthier and positive living.
Exactly.
So thank you for reiterating. And I think all of you are saying things that most of us agree with, but we sometimes fail upon just because of the everyday activities of life. So Ravinder, my last question is for you, is if you had to travel anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
I have my dream to be in Himalayas.
Wow, and why?
See, the ultimate, the goal, the purpose of life, you need to understand yourself, and you have to find the source where you have come from. And to reach the final destiny, I think that is a one place which is very, very, thought and spoken by a lot of, spiritual gurus. To attain something, Himalayas are the one place, your things becomes very easy. Even if you're just visiting that place itself, gives you lots of energy, lots of strength. So that is the one place I would definitely be going.
Very nice. I haven't been to Himalayas as well.
Life.
Very nice. I haven't been to Himalayas, so that should probably be one of my
audio is clear, madam?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes,
Hello?
thank you. Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. So let's go to, yes. Can you hear
me, madam?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
So let's talk about Ayushpati. Hina, can you hear me? Okay. So let's talk about Ayushpati, right? So Ayushpati, and as you talk about anything to do with Ayushpati, yes.
And I would like to correct, it is called AYUSH. What the organization I am representing is called Ayushpati. The government says it's AYUSH, Ministry of AYUSH. So,
got it, very nice.
Yeah, that's what just correction I would like to make.
Very nice, and of course, everybody would love to get corrected from Dr. Ashok just from that varied experience he comes from. So let's talk
publicity for me because I represent Ayushpati. So you have been repeating that. So generic name Ayush.
Ayush. So let's talk about Ayush, right? As we're talking today. As I've started to read about each of these different principles, I think the basic thing is about healthy living, right? And promotion of health and prevention, to lead a better health life. Basically, what I read from all of this as I was preparing for this session is about holistic. How do you look at the person as a whole? Mind, body, soul, environment, and the social environment as well. So, and we know all of us know predominantly we are all from India. Has a rich heritage with wisdom and medical wisdom, and even from the Vedas. So that leads me to go to Ayurveda, right? And I was reading the history of how Ayurveda was the top in the beginning, and then how homeopathy came in, how Unani came in because of people coming into India or transmitting the information, the transfer of knowledge, and how it got incorporated. And then the Siddha medicine was continuously going on in the South India, and then allopathy came, right? So when allopathy came, it's sort of like I'm the big boss here, and so all the traditional medicine that was in practice is not receiving as much importance. But I think from 1995 onwards, the Ministry of India or the Indian government has started to promote this traditional medicine. And one of the things that they've been saying is lack of scientific evidence across the globe. The reason for it not to be so popular. I'm going to speak less now because I'm just so excited to be learning from you. I want to hear from you. So let's go to Ayurveda as our first discussion, right? So Hina, since Dr. Gautaman is not yet here, I would like you to talk about what is Ayurveda, what is the origin of Ayurveda, and who comes to you, Hina? Who comes for Ayurvedic treatment?
Thank you, Nazira. Most of us get all the information from one Baba, which is Google Baba, right? So yes, some information is correct, some information are misleading. So thank you, Nazira, for having this conversation, because it is important to know what is real and what's not. When I say what is Ayurveda, Ayurveda has a very, very simple definition. Ayu is life and Veda is science. It is a science of life. Now, if you try to understand this definition in detail, try to just go a deep dive there. It does not say it is science of health. It does not say it is a science of medicine. It does not say it is a science of wellness. It says it is a science of life. And what is life? Life is not just your arthritis. Life is not just what you think. Life is not, it's not just how well do you eat, right? It is the combination of everything that you do and you think and the environment around you. So what is Ayurveda? It is a science of life. Whichever questions you have related to your life, Ayurveda has an answer to it. And that's the most beautiful part of Ayurveda. Second question, Nazira, I'm sorry, but I missed it.
So the second question was, who actually should start or comes to you for Ayurvedic treatment?
Okay, that's again an interesting question. Initially, when I was in India, I was studying Ayurveda. We have a course of 5.5 years. We start with learning Sanskrit. The basic knowledge of Ayurveda is scripted in Sanskrit language. When I was studying, why am I going back to when I was studying is I want to tell you in brief about my journey of learning Ayurveda and who comes to me, okay? So when I was learning, I used to get questions like, first question, does it work? So when they say, does it work? I used to ask them a counter question, what do you think? And they will be, oh, well, we don't know. It might work, we have heard. And that's how it started. Initially, I used to get irritated by people asking me questions, does it work? I mean, it is a 5,000 BC when Ayurveda was evolved. It is deep rooted in our Vedas. It is part of Atharva Veda. And still, I get a question, does it work? Okay, moving on, when I became a professional, I started working at KM Hospital in Mumbai. I was fortunate enough to co-found a department of integrative system of medicine, where we used to sit with allopathic practitioners and along with Ayurvedic experts, and we used to analyze the client and decide on which path he or she would be best benefited from, allopathy or Ayurveda. And that's how we started working. Now, there was an era after I became a professional and I came to United States, they started asking me, what is Ayurveda? So going back to the question that what is Ayurveda, I started explaining them. And interestingly, people wanted to know more about it. So who comes to me? Those, first of all, who have already tried allopathy for many years, chronic diseases. They get symptomatic relief, but the symptom resurfaces again, and now they are tired of popping pills. Those people started coming to me. Hey, what Ayurveda can offer? And that's how the journey started. So who comes to me now? Those who want to know more about Ayurveda is one category. And second category is those who are tired of popping pills and getting injections.
Okay, so good to know, Hina, and I think sometimes experiencing it, and we'll talk about it further. I think experiencing it helps understand more. All I've heard in my life is about Ayurveda. I've never experienced it, but this time during my visit to India, I actually went for a rejuvenation for like two days in Bengaluru. And I learned so much about Ayurveda, the oils, you know, and the methodology of treatment, the nature. So everything was perfect, sort of giving me more introspect into, okay, so it's much more than, you know, just handing a pill. So that was a good experience for me, lifelong learning experience. So thank you, Hina. You just confirmed or affirmed what I had experienced as well. So Yashasvi, let's go to you. Homeopathy. People hear more. I can tell you definitely we hear more about Ayurveda. Homeopathy is something that we hear now and then, but definitely I think it's an important practice as well. You are here in the US, and I'm sure even in India, I believe there are around 245,000 practitioners as of now. And so what is, I want to hear from you. What's the origin of homeopathy, And what is homeopathy? Yashasvi.
So homeopathy is a very gentle medicine. It's been around for over 200 years, and it originated in Germany. This was actually a German physician, father of homeopathy. We call him Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, and he had gotten tired of the brutal allopathic practices at that time. There was bloodletting, leeching. It was really brutal. So he got tired. He just stopped practicing medicine. He said, I cannot do this. And he started to kind of translate the works of medicals into other languages. And while he was doing that, he read that the Peruvian bark, which is the cinchona or the quinine, can actually, if taken, produce the symptoms. And he said, this is garbage. This is not possible. So what he did was he took it upon himself that I'm going to try this and just disapprove this. This is not possible. But when he took it, he actually started getting fever with chills. So that is how homeopathy was born, which is the basic principle of homeopathy, that like cures like, meaning that if a substance can produce symptoms, it can also cure those symptoms if you see them in a diseased state. And that was how homeopathy started in Germany and then spread all over Europe to the Americas and came to India. So over 200 million people today use homeopathy. And there were multiple homeopathic hospitals, homeopathic colleges, more than 20 colleges in the early 19th century in the US. And then when the American Medical Association became more powerful and these drug companies became more powerful, homeopathy kind of went down a little bit. But now I'm seeing a resurgence here in the US. So, and the organization that's leading it is the National Center of Homeopathy. And what they have done is they have found an alliance, and that alliance includes another organization, which is Americans for Homeopathy Choice. Then you have the Academy of Veterinary Homeopathy. You have the American Association of Homeopathic Pharmacists. You have the Council of Homeopathic Certification. You have the North American Society of Homeopaths. I could go on and on. So all of these organizations have now kind of come together to help legalize homeopathy, to make it, to kind of standardize it, to give it, to hold it to high standards so that people who come to us know that they can go to the right practitioners and get the right advice.
So basically what homeo means similar. So like can cure.
Correct.
Similar, yes.
So,
okay.
yes. So basically, any substance that can produce symptoms. I'll give you a very simple, easy example. The bee sting, right? One of the remedies that we use is Apis mellifica, which is made from the bee. So if you're stung by a bee, you will get like a redness, swelling, rash, right? So if you find a person who's been stung by the bee, you can actually give them the remedy Apis mellifica, and that immediately will relieve that redness, swelling within 1 to 3 doses, and you feel better. So this is just one of the examples of how a remedy that is made from the honeybee can help you with the symptoms of a bee sting.
Let me ask you this: who decides when to get homeopathic treatment? I mean, I think from all our cultural background, we all have heard about homeopathic. I'm sure throughout our life, at some point, we've been given a homeopathic treatment.
Yeah, correct.
So who actually says, I'm going to start my homeopathic treatment?
Right. So homeopathy has a very good role to play in acute as well as chronic diseases. So for chronic diseases, I always say if you come to go to a homeopath for something like how my colleague Hina said, that if you got tired of popping the pills, one for blood pressure, one for diabetes, one for anxiety, and then you're taking a couple of more for the side effects of those other pills that you've been taking. So those are the people who come to us. I say, if you've been having an issue for say 10 years, then give it 3 to 4 years at least. Give it at least half of the time to slowly taper off of those. Now, the other place where homeopathy really shines is in acute cases. So I don't think there's anybody here who hasn't heard of arnica or belladonna. So any injuries, you use arnica. So I have families that come to me with young children, and I help them build a homeopathic kit that has some basic remedies like arnica, belladonna, gelsemium, ledum pal, nux vomica, which is a big one. So we build a homeopathic basic kit, and then you can use it for your family for little things. So my motto is, think homeopathy first, meaning that if you have a headache, if you have an upset stomach, if you have a skin rash that just came on because, like now we are going into the summer months, so poison ivy, or if you came in contact with another plant that caused a rash, You can use rust tox. So you can use all of these over-the-counter, non-prescription homeopathic remedies, and you don't have to use Tylenol, or you don't have to use an antihistamine. So that's where homeopathy shines, in acute as well as in chronic issues.
Very good. Thank you so much for all that information. And we'll come back to actually hearing more. We'll go deeper into the session, but I want to go to Dr. Syed and Dr. Asya. I think she must have dropped out. But Dr. Syed, let's go to you about Unani, right? So Unani, I believe, came from the Persian or the Middle Eastern, and then it was incorporated into the Indian traditional medicine and has continued since then. About Unani, what's the origin and what is Unani about?
Yeah, when you use the term Unani, many might not be familiar with it. It is just an Arabic term for Greece. So actually, the initial medicine started from Greece. So
Greece.
Yeah, Greece. Yeah. So that's why means in India, when it came, based on its origin, it was known as Unani medicine. It started being popular as Unani medicine. So based on its origin. So according to Unani concept, Hippocrates gave that, means his concepts were that every individual has specific temperament, and akhlaq means it's called humors. So every individual have specific humors and specific temperament. So once they are in homeostasis, then only an individual can be healthy. So it came from Greece, then Rome, it went to Rome. Roman physician Galen is the famous physician. Then Persia was very big area. It included part of Europe and Middle Eastern countries and all. So from there, means when the rulers came to India, they brought Unani to India. So at that time, already Ayurveda was existing. So both the Unani physician ancient, they were called as Hakims. The Hakims and the Veds, Ayurvedic practitioners of those areas, they had lot of interchange of knowledges and all exchanges took place. And both of them simultaneously developed in India. And there are now quite good institutions and all, maybe some 42 universities there give this graduation and post-graduation and up to PhD degrees are awarded to the professionals.
Very good. Thank you so much. That's something that even I think even Hina is a Ayurvedic doctor, and she's excited to learn about that, because I think even within those principles, people are not aware so much. As I started reading about, I'm like, it's too late in life that I'm reading about it, but it's better late than never to learn anything new. So go ahead, Dr. Syed. So
actually, means when I came in 2002 in UAE, Unani was recognized, and I am the first license holder here. When I came to UAE, I was skeptical whether it will be working here or not. Once I started practicing, getting legalized or getting license is easy. The main part will be practicing. So whether, because it was popular, it is popular. Many of them know that it is popular in India and part of Pakistan or Afghanistan. When I started practicing, people started getting aware about it when they see the medicine, because when it was in Greece, then Persia and all this physician of those period, they enriched the system. So most of the countries, they are aware of this Unani medicine, but unfortunately, there are no institution in other countries except India. Now, gradually they have started in South Africa, and in few period in UAE also, medical colleges, Unani medical colleges are starting. Already MOU has been done by Hamdard University in Abu Dhabi. So that only means, so when they see the medicine, the people started getting familiar to it. Okay, means this is only, it is called Unani, and they started giving their own stories. Means our ancestor used to practice this, and some part of their life anybody have used it, but consciously or subconsciously they means once they saw the actual practice, they started knowing, means they started relating to it. So
very nice.
Now total 48 nationality we treat, because Dubai is a tourism area. So that's why means a lot of countries they come, and here 192 nationalities they are resident here. So from Europe, UK, Germany, all patients come here because Dubai is such a place that anybody wants to come here. So when they know that a Unani practice is here, so they fly all the way to get treatment here. So now, yeah, in this 17-18 years period, now we are having 23 official licensed Unani practitioners in UAE.
Very good. Thank you. And we continue the best wishes to you as we start the conversation further to learn more. So let me continue the same title conversation with Dr. Asya. Dr. Asya, you were doing a super specialty of Unani. Can you tell us, I mean, just to know about Unani is a big deal for us, and to learn about super specialties, so just to show that there's so much out there. Can you talk to us? What is it that you do?
Sorry, can you please repeat your question?
Yes, Dr. Asya, I was asking, can you tell us about your specialty, what you do with Unani? What do you practice?
Okay, fine. Thank you, Nazira. Before coming to the actual answer, let me tell you a little brief about the origin of the Unani medicine. Perhaps Dr. Syed has already cast some light over it. So I would like to tell something about Unani system of medicine. It is a very comprehensive and ancient system of medicine that originated in Greece and is based on the teaching of Hippocrates. And Hippocrates, we all are aware that he is, widely accepted as, and till date also, he is known as the father of medicine. So he codified the system of medicine in very primordial period where the science of the medicine was not even considered as the established science. So he established this system of medicine, and it was further expanded and further developed by other scholars like Razi, Ibn Sina, and obviously Galenus. So the teaching of Hippocrates is based on humoral theory. And the concept of the system is...
So, Dr. Yes, so I know you were missing, Dr. Syed has already spoken about it. Just in the interest of time, we want to know what do you do in the practice?
Coming to that. So the system of Unani medicine is based on three components, basically. One is because in Unani system of medicine, medicine doesn't come as the first thing. So there is some, before forging for medicine, there is diet therapy. Then there is a pharmacological intervention, which is known as ilaj with dawa or pharmacological intervention. And one very specialized aspect of Unani medicine is the regimenal therapy, which is the system I belong to, which is known as the ilaj with tadbir. So this is a very specialized science of Unani medicine, which deals with certain regimens which are supposed to be preventive and restoration of health. Because Unani system of medicine believes that it is the internal constitution of the person which is responsible for a person falling sick. Because disease doesn't catches the man, but man catches the disease. So it is the internal constitution or the internal natural forces which are to be taken care of in order to prevent, in order to maintain the health. And if health is lost, then restoration is maintained by addressing to these things. So there are six essential factors which are known as asbab-e-sitta zaruriya. That is mainly comes under this regimen. And there are certain regimen like hijama, you must have heard of hijama. Then there are therapeutic massage. Nothing can come close to the relaxing effect of a therapeutic massage. Then there are certain the Turkish bath or hammam, heredotherapy and venesection, and many more. So these regimen are considered to be as preventive for health and for the restoration of health. And then if these, sometimes there are conditions when these regimen can alone bring the human normalcy back. And if not, then they couple with medicine and other things, then they can be, tailored and designed as a management plan.
Very nice. Thank you so much for the response. I think we've learned much more than what we knew about Unani. So I want to go to Dr. Jagannath, and we'll all come back to discuss more about each of these specificities. So Dr. Jagannath, Siddha, right? So it's closer to me as well because, I'm from Tamil Nadu. So I know it originated in Tamil Nadu, through Siddhas. So I know Siddha means perfect, but please tell us what it is, where did it originate, and why should we be talking about it more, just like any other principle?
Okay, thank you, Nazira. I want to brief about, something about the history and basic principles. I think Siddha may be the oldest medical system. Historical evidences reveals that Siddha was originated in the period in between 7000 BC and 5000 BC. Then it was developed by ancient Siddhas, what you said. Actually, the word Siddha was derived only from the root word Sittam. Sittam means knowledge. The persons who have attained perfect knowledge are known as Siddhas. We got 18 Siddhas in the past. They were lived in different periods of time in the history and given knowledge about the medicine and the philosophy to the successors. Lord Shiva is considered to be the founder guru, and Agastya, the Siddha Agastya, is honored as a prime Siddha. If you see the language of Siddha, the literatures are available only in Tamil language. The Siddha is blended with the Dravidian culture. Siddha advocates 4 kinds of knowledge: Vaidyam, Vadam, Yogam, and Jnanam. Vaidyam, how to prepare medicine, how to diagnose the case, and how to treat the patient. Vadam is nothing but alchemy, how to evolve higher medicines to prevent the decay of body, and how to convert the baser metals into higher order of metals. Then how to develop the elixirs of immortality. These are all the areas the alchemy is actually dealing. Then Yogam. Yogam, Yamam, Niyamam, Mandala, Adanam, Pranayamam, Pratyagaram, Dharane, Dhyanam, Samadhi. How to purify body and mind by means of Yamam and Niyamam. Then how to ensure healthy and longevity by means of Asanam and the Pranayamam. And how to regulate and concentrate the mind by means of Pratyagaram, Dharane, Dhyanam, and how to attain eternal bliss. Actually, Siddha advocates these 4 kinds of knowledge: Vaidyam, Vadam, Yogam, and Jnanam. Jnanam is nothing but attainment of perfect knowledge. So we could say Siddha is not a mere medical science. It is a way of leading a perfect, disciplined, and healthy life. Siddha is based on certain important basic principles. அண்டத்தில் உள்ளதை பிண்டம், பிண்டத்தில் உள்ளதை அண்டம், அண்டமும் பிண்டமும் ஒன்று அறுதுதான் பார்க்கும்போது. The universe is andam or a macrocosm. A human body is pindam, microcosm. Whatever the changes are happening in the macrocosm, that will be reflected in the microcosm also. Then in the universe, everything, all living and non-living things are made up of Panchabhuta Panjigaranam concept. I mean, it is made up of different ratio of Panchabhuta. So it includes the human body, Saptadhadus, 3 humors, Vada, Pittam, and Kabam, and also medicines. So treatment in Siddha is purely based on taste, Tridosha, Panchabhuta relativity concept. Then disease in human body is due to imbalance in equilibrium status of Vadam, Pittam, and Kabam. So assessment of impaired dosha is vital in the area of treatment. மூன்றிலொன்று உயர்ந்ததை அறிந்திடு மருந்திடு தனியும் நோயின் தந்திரமிதுவே. So we have to identify which particular dosha is impaired through Nadi Parisodhana and Nirkuri Naikuri, urine examination. Then Noi Nadi, Noi Nadi, Adhanikam, Vai Nadi, Vaipachal. This is the peculiar thing of Siddha system, treating the disease and the root cause of the disease. Method followed in Siddha. Then when we talk about the treatment method, there is a concept is there. Verbaru, Taleparu, Mijinekal, Parpachindaru, Melle Melle Paru. Initially, we have to start with plant materials. Then we can go for a higher order of medicines like metallic preparations, mineral preparations, etc., etc. Then another important concept is Unave Marundu, Marunde Unavu. All traditional items, all traditional food items are medicines. All medicines are food. So
very nice.
Each formulation in Siddha is formulated only based on this concept.
Okay. So now tell us the difference between Shiva Sampradayam and Siddha Sampradayam.
Shiva Sampradaya is also known as Siddha Sampradaya because Shiva, I already told, Shiva was the founder guru of Siddha system. Shiva taught Siddha system to Parvati, Parvati to Nandi, Nandi to Agastya, Agastya to Pulastya. Then it has been spreaded to all, it has been transferred to all 18 Siddhas.
Okay,
then another important principle is that ensuring longevity is the main objective of Siddha way of life and practice. Udambal Aliyar, Uyarar Alivar, Tirambada Menyanam, Sero Mata, Udambai Valarkum Ubayamarinda, Udambai Valatam Uyar Valatane, which means we have to prevent the decay of the body and Jivan and ensure longevity. This is the only way we could achieve Jnanam and eternal bliss, the ultimate aim of our birth. Then above all, Siddha is anchored on 96 tattvas. 96 tattvas is nothing but anatomical, physiological, pathological, moral, behavioral, social and spiritual element. Then Siddha offers one important thing I want to express. The Siddha offers medicines for 4,448 diseases of mankind. Then in Siddha system, 32 classifications of internal medicines is there, 32 classifications of external medicines are there. Under each class, we have thousands and thousands of formulations. Then the usage of a metal and a mineral preparation is the core strength of Siddha system for certain reasons. For example, 20 milligram or 30 milligram, then we can use the same medicine for different diseases by changing vehicle. Anupanam is the finest technique used by Siddhas to deliver the drug molecule to the concerned biomolecule. Then about the particle size. So particle size is almost nano and micro size. So we could expect a speedy recovery also. Then another important thing about the metallic preparation and mineral preparations, which supplements macronutrients and trace elements also simultaneously. Because, for example, Annabedi is the medicine given for anemia. It is the form of, if you see the composition, it is the form of alpha Fe2O3. But simultaneously, it will supplement calcium, magnesium, manganese, sodium, potassium, iron, zinc, copper, then chromium. Another point I want to emphasize, Siddha treatment aspect, kinds of methods. Vinnavar Maruthum, Manida Maruthum, and Asura Maruthum. Vinnavar Maruthum means divine treatment, Manida Maruthum rational treatment, Asura Maruthum surgical treatment. Vinnavar Maruthum means it is dealing with the higher order of medicines for dreaded diseases. Manida Maruthum means dealing with the common medicines for common ailments. Surgical, Asura Maruthum, you know, it's a surgical procedures. In Siddha, we have 25 types of surgical methods. So these are all the points I want to convey to you all. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you so much. That put a lot of light, and at least it enlightened me with a lot of things that I've been reading about for this session. And how many students do you have in your college, Dr. Jagannath?
Now 230 students are studying here. We are conducting only UG course right now. Then we are going to start PG courses also in the coming years. But in Tamil Nadu, there are 12 colleges are functioning.
So all these students will graduate to get what jobs and where?
Actually, they are having chances in the government side. Then they can do private practice. Then they can go for research side also. If they are obtaining a PG degree, then teaching opportunities are also there. So as like Ayurveda and the Unani system, we have similar opportunities.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the wisdom and the knowledge you gave us today. So, Dr. Benz, I know Ravindra and Dr. Ashok are waiting for their turns. I'm coming there. We keep the best for the last. So, Dr. Benz, next is you. So let's talk about naturopathy, and let's talk about your field of expertise, nutrition. And I think most of the our panelists today sort of mentioned food is probably only the medicine sometimes, right? So tell us, what is it that you are advocating? Are you practicing the wellness, and how are you practicing, through your education or increasing awareness?
Well, thank you very much, Nazira. I'm learning a lot from your colleagues, and I hope that they learn something from me as well. I have become very focused on cellular science because in my experience, looking at the studies and research that have been done over the last 20 or 30 years, cells do not deteriorate from being normal to being diseased overnight. I think some of your speakers already alluded to that. But I think one of the problems is we really don't know how to identify these changes in the cells before they're being diagnosed by conventional medicine. The problem with this is that most of the tests are inadequate. They measure things after the cells have already become dysfunctional or mutated. So about 10 years ago, I developed a new technique, a new theory of cellular deterioration. And this is based on energy. And the science says that when the cells first become challenged, they become stressed. So stressed is my first step in the cellular deterioration process. Then if they become stressed for too long, they become weakened. In other words, they can't do their function at the level that they would be designed to do it. And then the third level is dysfunctional. This is where conventional medicine usually sees something like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high sugar. And then in the fourth iteration, they become mutated. That's where part of the nucleus has become damaged and can't be replaced as it should be. And then in the fifth and final stage, it's diseased. And that's when too much of the nucleus of the cells has been damaged and can't be repaired. So my goal for the last 10 or 15 years has been trying to find tests that identify cells when they're stressed and weakened, which is about 5 to 10 years before they become dysfunctional. And so I have found several tests that do that. One of my good examples is breast cancer. Breast cancer, when you're looking at trying to diagnose it, they use mammography, and mammography needs about 4 billion cells in order to see the tumor. Even at that, it's only about 65% accurate. But they can see thermography when cells are only about 200 cells in the breast. 200 cells in the breast will create a heat profile that can be seen very accurately by digital infrared thermography. If you can catch those cells at that point and do your proper detoxification and nutrition and stress reduction, within 3 to 6 months, those 200 cells go back to normal. And so you've just avoided breast cancer totally by that test alone. So instead of looking at 4 billion cells, we look at 200 cells. And mammograms can only see these 4 billion cells 8 to 10 years after it started. We see it within days after it started to be stressed. So this is the number one thing that I think illustrates how this happens. And so I've developed about 10 or 15 tests that you can use. In the case of sugar, diabetes is now a worldwide problem. It's going to get bigger and bigger because everybody's not eating the right diet, not exercising properly, not detoxifying properly. But the tests that they're using are totally inadequate. The A1C test, which is the gold standard for blood tests for diabetes, is actually a very terrible test. The glycomark test is a very accurate test because the glycomark test actually measures what happens to your sugar after a meal. And this is when the most significant. And so by taking that into consideration, which pregnant women in North America, they get a thing called the glucose challenge test. It's almost the same thing, only you have to sit for 2 or 3 hours in a glucose challenge test. Whereas the glycomark test, you can do that in one test very quickly within a few minutes. In any event, you can use the glycomark test to see the cells on the cells and your pancreas actually changing 5 to 7 years before you'll see anything in any A1C test. So we're actually able to predict diabetes 5 to 7 years before it happens. I now have got to the point where I have an advanced test like this for every disease. And so with the right tests, we call them early warning biochemical testing, you can actually identify 80 to 90% of the diseases before they happen, so that you can now administer all of the natural therapies that have been discussed by your group here, in addition to nutrition and stress reduction and toxicity reduction. And so my goal is to try to get these biomarkers identified by more people, more doctors, more people from other disciplines, by the way. I think for everyone who's spoken so far, these biochemical marker tests for the early warning disease make everything that you are doing more effective. And we now have one test that we can do that brings all of this together. It's an artificial intelligence platform based on functional medicine, which uses health risk assessments, very detailed ones, more advanced blood tests, and genetic tests. And then we juxtaposition all of that information into comparison of 40,000 clinical trials. 1 million calculations are made in less than 1 second. And then we get a complete picture of that person's needs for improving their nutrition, their exercise, their detoxification, their stress. Does that by looking at 5,000 enzymes. And the enzymes are the precursors to every disease. So every one of these markers I've talked about is actually a measure of enzymatic behavior in the body. Now we have one test, $90 for a whole year. Any patient can actually see not only what their existing situation is, they can see whether they have an 80 or 90% probability of getting diabetes or heart disease or cancer in the next 5 to 10 years. This is going to change medicine, in my opinion.
So it looks like, Dr. Benz, you've gone into an action-oriented, preventive methodology where you're asking the communities to make sure that they're aware that they could develop this beforehand. So this must have come from a lot of your experience. From a lot of experience. Hold on 1 second. We have someone joining us. So, Dr. Benz, this must have come from a lot of experience. And so, are these tests approved, or is this something that people have to request?
No, well, they're approved. They're just not used very often, because conventional medicine would rather treat the symptom than it would to find the source of the problem and treat the origination of that problem. So yes, they're approved. They're on my website. I mean, I have 2 advanced screening tests for cancer that can show cancer being developed 5 to 10 years in the body before it ever occurs. And I have similar tests for Alzheimer's, 5 to 10 years. We know what the cells are doing 5 to 10 years before Alzheimer's even is developed. And so it's the same with every one of these diseases. So yes, we have these tests. I even have one now for the immune system, because this COVID-19 virus is a very serious problem. But if your immune system is strong enough, you will never get any virus, any infection. It just doesn't happen. So for instance, if your vitamin D3 levels are high enough in the 60 to 90 nanograms per milliliter, you'll not get any virus because your body is strong enough to resist it. So we have a test of 10 different things that can measure your immune system. If you balance all those things, I would say there's about a 99.9% chance you will never get a symptom from a virus.
Definitely. So thank you, Dr. Benz, for the detailed information of how sometimes the testing is also important along with the modalities of an individual practitioner. So let's go to, and I have more questions for you as we move forward. So let's go to yoga, right? So before we do our yoga demonstration by Gajendran and his son, I want us to talk about yoga, right? So Ravinder, if you can unmute, and I want finally Dr. Ashok to sort of talk about Ayushpathy from what all he heard for a couple of minutes before we head to the demonstration. So Ravinder, yoga is become like a household word now across the globe, and I'm sure it took many years of increasing awareness. Different types of yoga. We keep hearing about all the Western commercialized yoga as well. But tell me, what does real yoga mean to you? And why did you transfer from becoming a pharmacist into the yoga field?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I want to, say, it's a very transformation which happened in me through yoga. So it is due to the work, I was in a pharmaceutical industry. I was working as a manager for Ron Polnak. I was in charge of 2 districts, and the stress levels are very high. So at that point of time, I was selling allopathy medicine. And due to the heavy work pressure, I thought, just to take, some alternative this thing. In spite of taking medicines also, I never had reliefs. So at that point of time, one of my friend referred me to do yoga. So initially, for a few days, there was some issues like, the body was not able to cope up with the asanas and other things. So slowly, within next couple 15-20 days, I'm able to see changes. So from there, my journey started towards yoga. So slowly, I started learning yoga from the basics. We have a institution called SPYSS in Bangalore. Here, they start teaching the yoga from the basics. So the basic of yoga is the unification of your mind and body. So are merging your body with your soul. So it is a merger of 2-3 any things which connected to your body. Then there are different types of yoga which we call karma yoga. So by doing your basic duties, attain the eternity is your karma yoga. Then jnana yoga. So improve your knowledge on particular subject. So make that fruitful for others. So that becomes a jnana yoga. So and another is bhakti yoga. So
are we doing that today, jnana yoga? All of us are actually learning.
Yeah, you are on the right track, madam, for getting more knowledge. This is jnana yoga. Then we have raja yoga also. Then the last one is the ashtanga yoga. I am very thankful to Dr. Jagannathan. He has mentioned all the ashtanga yogas of this thing like yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. He has given it in a beautiful way. So this ashtanga yoga, as he said, the basic, which start from the yama niyamas. You have to have a discipline. You have to have food habits changed, and do asanas at a particular time. So this will totally give benefits slowly. But to anybody to start with yoga, they may not find the result initially, maybe for 2-3 months or something, but slowly, maybe after 6 months, 1 year's time, you can see a great, amazing benefits through yoga. So first and foremost is, your body flexibility will increase. So once body flexibility increases, you can start doing different asanas and different twistings and turnings. All this will the first and foremost of yoga. Then to attain other things, like as Dr. Jagannathan said, pranayama, meditation, you need to be, you have to have a good lung capacity. If you want to do pranayama, you should have a very good lung capacity. So that the basics of breathing exercise, what we do in yoga teaches, which will increase our lung capacity. That is where, the three things in a body, that is blood circulation, heat circulation, air circulation, which are very, very important for every human body to work, as I agree with Dr. Jagannathan also. Here, so this has to be in harmony with all the parts. See, once there is a shortage of air circulation, that is oxygen, heat circulation, or even the blood circulation, a small pain will start, a discomfort will start. Then slowly it will develop into a more pain disease. So it is the first and foremost. By doing yoga, this kind of a thing, small things can be rectified in a very early stages.
Okay.
I'm right with Dr. Jagannathan also.
Very nice.
This will take care of the things. And slowly with body, when the body becomes comfortable, then we will start slowly going into the next level of yoga. That is Siddhi. That is the end part of yoga. So to attain that, you need to stimulate all the chakras. So starting from the Muladhara chakra, which is a root of chakras, then Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi. So Agna and Sahasrara chakra. So your body has to coordinate. If you want to sit in meditation for half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, your body should be in a position to sit comfortably. Your breathing should be normal. So that all happens when you have a fit body. The fit body comes with yoga. So by doing yoga, yes.
No, very, very true. And I think I can see you're very passionate about the yoga, and especially to the students you teach. I'm sure you are really conveying a lot of, good principles and positivity.
Yes, it's a personal experience. The benefit what we get, so we have to pass it on to everyone. So it is not only in India. The true essence of yoga is available in India. It has to be passed on to the entire world. The entire world should be healthy. Okay, like Dr. Syed, as he said, everyone should be healthy. So if by doing a minimum yoga, maybe for half an hour, 1 hour, you will have a very, very healthy life.
Very nice. And I actually grew up with yoga at my home. My daddy has been doing yoga from the time I was, I think, 4 years or 5 years old. I used to do headstands along with him when I was very, very young. So I've definitely seen that importance personally in my family as well. How he's monitored his diabetes in a pretty good way, along with his very healthy diet. So I completely agree with everything you said, Ravinder, and thank you so much for that. So now let's go to Dr. C.K. Ashok before our yoga demonstration by Gajendra and his son. So Dr. C.K. Ashok, tell us, you heard Ayurveda, we heard Unani, we heard Siddha, we heard homeopathy and yoga. So tell us, Ayushpati, or tell us, how are you? Why do you call yourself ambassador?
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Nazira, for timing it appropriately on this COVID situation, where people talk of various remedies. I think everybody is after a vaccine. I would say the greatest vaccine is inside you, every human being. And once they are able to raise their immune levels, so they do not need a vaccine. I think this kind of pandemics, our India has seen so many pandemics, and they have just in their tradition, if you see, they will isolate the person with some neem leaves. So this is any chicken pox or smallpox. We have seen those things. But I think this pandemic is more hyped. That's what I would like to say. But once if you are able to raise your immune levels and follow a strict diet regimen, as Benz has said, we will not be able to, we need not worry about this. The corona will be afraid of coming to us. So the first thing what I would like to say is to raise our immune levels. This is what, and AYUSHPATHI is an organization, practitioners of all AYUSH practitioners, that is Ayurveda, Siddha, Yoga, Unani. It is started in Malaysia. It is the brainchild of Dr. Sendil Whale. He is a director of AYUSH, Ministry of AYUSH in Malaysia. He says this is the time when all the global Ayurveda, Siddha, and now it is called as alternative therapy. The whole medicinal system is taken over by allopathy, or we call the modern medicine, which dominates the 90% or 95% of the global treatment of treatments. So this is called alternative system. As you know, the pharma industry is the biggest industry in the world. So pharmaceutical. So I think your President Trump is also frantically asking for hydrochloroquine to combat the COVID. But we feel our yoga practice, that is the right type of pranayama, can do wonders in ourselves. And I have been brought in a background of AYUSH, though many of my siblings are allopathy doctors. So I have a strong bias towards natural living and naturopathy, and I have conducted a lot of naturopathy camps and yoga camps. So this is what has been there, and the last 30 years I have not taken any allopathy medicine. So I strongly believe that if you raise your immune levels, you can do, you don't need any external medicine. If you regulate your food. I'm also the president of the Asia Pacific Vegan Union, and I was the president for the Indian IVU, that is International Vegetarian Union, the oldest one, started by Mahatma Gandhi in London. So if you are able to manage your food habits and also the yoga, these are two things which is very good for anyone. Also our team, we have Dr. Purushottaman, who is doing a lot of extensive research on the scan of the brain. Once you scan the brain, you will know how much you are deficient in your minerals and vitamins. Accordingly, he is merging metabolomics, the capability of your body to absorb the nutrition by way of plant nutrition, what we give. So if you are able to coordinate the metabolomics and the brain scan, so these two are systems which we are working, and he is also working on a concept called if you walk into a restaurant, there will be a brain scan. A person can just the menu will be given according to individual needs. It is as of now, we are now taking medicine or food what we do not know. It's only an approximate guess according to our hunger. But exactly knowing what kind of mineral, what kind of vitamin you are deficient to the nanoparticle is what the research is being done by Dr. Uttaman, my colleague. So once we are doing, this will be a great breakthrough. And also what we are suggesting through our first world community is integrative AYUSH. Each one has got its own strengths. And modern medicine is very good in diagnostics. And allopathy as of now is losing its sheen because it is known to cause a lot of side effects. And now people are looking for more towards natural remedies. So with the advent of artificial intelligence, as Benz was telling, so a combined effort of modern medicine integrated with all this therapy, with an effort of your artificial intelligence, the patient is now at his best. So he can get the best out of the system. So our medical treatment system has come a long way, and artificial intelligence is going to revolutionize the modern, where even the surgeries are done by robots. So this is the kind of advancement we have. And also we have to integrate with our own Siddhas or the ancient system on your own. Here, Dr. Deepak Chopra is the greatest advocate of Ayurveda and our ancient wisdom. So I think we are for a good time, and yoga can open many doors. And then our vision is to create a disease-free world. First world community, and Ayushpathy is looking for establishing a disease-free world. This is
very well said indeed, and thank you for putting all these together and mentioning words like integrative medicine and understanding why it's important to understand and merging the goods of the good principles of each of these practices, so that it's not left behind. So we'll further talk about it soon, about the availability of scientific evidence, etc. But next, what I want to do is for if Praveen can open up the video for Gajendran.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Nazira, for helping the yoga to be popularized in US. Of course, in the other way is round, because US has made yoga popular. Like that, we also want AYUSH to become popular globally. The China has taken the lead. Chinese traditional medicines are, I will talk to you on this later. Chinese traditional medicine has taken the globe by storm. About 160 countries practice TCM. The TIM, the traditional Indian medicine, is left lagging behind. And it is the responsibility and duty of every Indian to be proud of his own system. Ayurveda, the traditional system, Ayurveda or the Siddha medicine. Siddha tradition, this is what every Indian should be proud of. We should not be leaving behind or lagging behind the traditional Chinese medicine. As Indian citizen, we should be proud, and rightly so, because no Siddha or Ayurveda systems are the oldest, and no comparison with any of the other systems. So thank you, Dr. Nazira, for giving. I think it's a good enlightening session. Dr. Benz has been specializing in cellular, where we will interact more with him and then try to enhance our knowledge. Deeping cellular biology, and it's very, very important to understand our own disease and health structures. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, yes, definitely. So while we try to get Gajendran's video on, I think we are having some issues. Okay, there he is. Perfect timing, Gajendran. Can you unmute yourself? So I want to introduce Gajendran. I met him in India along with his family, small son, who's 5 years old, and you're going to meet him soon. And his name is Dharanishwaran. Hi, Vanakkam, Dharanishwaran. How are you? Hi, how are you? So For the next 6 minutes, I want you all to just sit back and want to see what Gajendran and Dharmeshwaran have for us. Go ahead, Gajendran. You music on pannikonga.
Okay, madam.
Okay, we are ready for you.
Okay.
On the camera, Varlama.
So as Gajendran is setting up his, whenever you're ready, Gajendran. Okay, Gajendran, is it going to? Go ahead, Gajendran.
Hey, நீ வேற பக்கம் படி.
Thank you so much, Gajendran. Gajendran, so thank you so much. So, unga paiyan vandu 5 vayasa, so his son is 5 years old.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Can you see us? Engala paaka mudida?
Paaka mudidhu, madam.
Okay, ungala kaaminga. Thank you. Thank you, chinna paiyan. And evlo naala practice பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க?
இது வந்து 3 வயசுல இருந்து பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன், மேடம்.
So this small kiddo is practicing from 3 years old, and he's 5 years old now. I met them when I was visiting my home back home, and I was so impressed by the whole family and the discipline, the way they do it so passionately. So Gajendran, very nice. Thank you, romba sandosham. We all appreciate your efforts. And Hina wanted to say something. I think Hina, do you want to go ahead? Hina, one nimisham varunga.
Thank you so much, Gajendran, and thank you to your kiddo too. One thing I wanted to mention when I saw you yesterday, I was telling Nazira that this is the authentic yoga. So this is the way Patanjali, who now, of course, is a well-known entity around the globe. So when you talk about yoga, yes, majority of us know who is the father of yoga, who is Patanjali. So if someone is interested, you look at Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and it is documented how to teach your students. So this was the authentic way our rishis and our sages have always taught the students. So you take your student as your son or a daughter, as your kid, and you teach the student that way. So Gurukula, which is the authentic place where our Rishi Munis used to teach their students, I could definitely see you as the teacher, as the guru, and your son, the perfect student. So thank you so much for showing us what we lost. That's it, Nazira. That was my comment.
So, very well said, Dr. Hina. I think I'm very proud and happy that Dr. Nazira could give a good platform for the young Dharanishwaran, and I wish Dharan and all the best.
Yes.
Vanakkam, Gajendran, வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Vanakkam, sir. Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dharmeshwaran, and thank you, Gajendran. Romba sandosham. We wish you all the best and continued success, and I hope ninge romba peth inno inspire panano. So we wish you all the best. Okay, we'll see you soon. Okay, so now thank you again, and so now we saw just a demonstration of what the will that it takes and the principle that is needed to continue some of these methodologies, right? So the question for next I want us to discuss in detail a little bit is, how is it different from practicing in India with these traditional medicine, and how is it different from practicing in the US? So I would like Yashasvi to give us, Yashasvi and probably Hina briefly about how is it different practicing, and I would like Dr. Syed and Asya to join in based on their experience of how the traditional medicine, what are the challenges, the opportunities, the setbacks that exist to continue with these medical practices.
So hi Nazira, the differences are not that many, except for like the designations, meaning that if you are a alternative or a complementary practitioner here in the US, it comes with certain limitations, meaning only certain people can call themselves a doctor. So you can be a holistic practitioner. So I work with pediatricians, with MDs, with chiropractors, with nurse practitioners. So we have like this whole team that we work together for our families. So that's one of the main differences I see. And when I came here, I did not start practicing because I thought nobody would even know about homeopathy. So I actually became an EMT, and I still continue to volunteer with my local EMS, and I teach the CPR program there. But people would ask me, what do you do? And I was like, I'm a homeopath. And people knew about homeopathy. So in the US, the legal way to practice homeopathy is either you do your regular MD, and then you go ahead and do homeopathy as a post-graduation for 2 years. Or you can do an ND, which is Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine, which is the closest you can get to Ayurvedic knowledge here in the US. And then homeopathy is 3 months of that 4-year curriculum. So I knew a lot of naturopaths who were practicing homeopathy but didn't know enough, because how much can you learn in 3 months? And in India, we go through the whole 5.5 years degree the way Hina has gone through with the Ayurveda. So I started working initially with these local holistic practitioners and the local pediatrician to help them integrate homeopathy into their practice. And from their word of mouth, people started coming to me more and more. And to me, it is more about the education and more about empowering families themselves. One thing I used to see in India is that the homeopaths would not give the names of the remedies. I'm not sure why, but here you cannot do that. You have to tell the patients. And I think it is the right way, because see, like for example, on a weekend, how is your patient supposed to reach out to you? Like, I'm here for 2 hours. If somebody has an emergency, how are they going to reach me? So if they have their own little kit and they know how to use it and they know the indications of each of the remedies, they can take care of themselves. So like I have a closed Facebook group of about 300 of my families, and now they take care of each other. So if somebody asks a question, I got bit, or, I have this problem, the other moms or the other parents will jump in and tell them, look, this is what Yashi had recommended, you can use this remedy. And then by the time I go in 2 or 3 hours, the problem is already solved and I can enjoy my weekend. So it's more about education. It's more about empowering your families so they can use these holistic modalities first before jumping to allopathy. Allopathy has a place, and we absolutely need to recognize our limitations. But we should teach the families that come to us to reach for these holistic modalities first. Change in diet, change in lifestyle, bring yoga into your life, use the homeopathy, use the Ayurveda, the Unani, use all of those first.
Very nice. So I want to go to Dr. Asiya before I come to Hina. Dr. Asiya and Dr. Syed. So the question I was asking is, how hard or how easy or how difficult is it to practice Unani within India and outside of India? Are there any setbacks or challenges? And because I know, having been an allopathic practitioner myself, sometimes I think the allopathic medicine doesn't believe in anything stronger than just the allopathic medicine. So sometimes they're called quacks, right? So have you faced that, and how do you come out of those challenges? Just because you believe, you've read about it, it works. Asiya?
Yes. See, what I feel, Nazira, as a Unani practitioner, that there are both opportunities as well as there are challenges. So talking of opportunities, I would say that we have specialties in doctors, because not every doctor can treat all the cases. So we have dermatologists, cosmetologists, then we have nephrologists, cardiologists. So this holds very much true with the systems as well. Not every system can address to every disease. So we have to identify the turf or the strength of a particular system, and then adopting or opting a particular system for the individual, that the need of that time. So I would say that the strength of Unani system of medicine is liver disorders, GIT disorders, skin disorders, and obviously the branch I belong to is the lifestyle management through regimenal therapy. So these are the areas where we can say that we can occupy the center stage along with multimodal approach, and then making our management plan. Similar is the case with other alternative system of medicines. Here I would like to say mention one thing, that I personally don't like to say it alternative medicine, because one system might be alternative to me and that may not be for you. So it is better to talk in a complementary system, because no any system is complete. Every system is supplementary and complementary to each other. And now this is the time, and government of India has realized that they are trying to mainstreaming the Indian system of medicine and bringing all the system of medicine under one umbrella. So this is the need of our, and this is you can say the
Sure. So I think Asya, you sort of got cut off. So I'm going to have Dr. Syed. Dr. Syed, tell us how it is practicing Unani in Sharjah. I think it's UAE. Is it good opportunity, or does it come with setbacks?
Yeah, as I told that in 2002 when I came new, means at that time I did not knew whether it will be accepted or not, because the terminology, as in Ayurveda, it is Sanskrit terminology about the medicine, about the diseases, the diagnosis of the diseases and all. What we study is, it is in Arabic and Persian terminology. So to practice in Middle East, it's not a big issue. The other thing is, all the medicine herbs, mainly if they are available, that is more than enough. On the large scale manufacturing, you need manufacturing companies and all. So if the proper herbs are available, practice is not so difficult. It just took for me just 2 years to create awareness in UAE. So I had practiced in Dubai and Sharjah. They are just 12 kilometers away. So 2002 I started, and 2010 I was able to start my own organization. I have my own medical center. So and 2017, because AYUSH government of India, it wanted to promote all the alternative medicine system all over. So even 2017 we had organized a big conference sponsored by AYUSH ministry. So now we have all the alternative branches. We have Ayurveda also, homeopathic also, and Siddha also we want to start, but still there is some issue with the licensing of Siddha practitioners. So here means you can get all practitioners, and all can practice by creating awareness. The only thing is little language barrier here and there can be. So anybody who knows English, the main communication mode, that will be more than enough. The rest, the practitioner know how to practice. So most of the chronic diseases and all, so they are everywhere. So and most of the people, they try initially allopathy. After that, they move towards alternative medicine. So they are all hunting for different alternative medicine system. Okay. Now the advantage means now after this corona issue, we have seen increase in number of people searching for alternative treatments, and so this is a boon for alternative practitioners, and world over it can go. Now in Chicago also, global Unani organization is formed. So in future you can see a lot of officially practitioner of Unani in US too.
Very good. Thank you so much for that information. Dr. Jagannath, I'm interested. I know if you can unmute yourself, Dr. Jagannath. So I know you are already collaborating with cardiologists back here in Atlanta with allopathic doctors who are practicing here. So is that true? Are you integrating the Siddha medicine along with the doctors here in US? Can you hear us, Dr. Jagannath? Okay, so we'll come back to him. Looks like there's a technical difficulty. Hina, why don't you tell us about how...
I don't have any contact there.
So,
can you able to hear me?
No, we're not. It's really dragging. It's really dragging. So we want you to log out and come back in. So while you do that.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Nazir, I don't have any experience. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Jagannath. So while he's coming back, from his technical difficulty. Hina, why don't you start and tell us what are the setbacks of practicing Ayurveda in US or the opportunities available?
Sure. Thank you, Nazira. Here, my journey is not very different than Yashaswi's journey of homeopathy practice from India to US. If I rate it on scale of 1 through 5, 1 being the most difficult and 5 being the most easiest, when I came here 15 years ago, it was 4. When I say 4, it is based on my experience that the same feeling whether people here know what is Ayurveda. I decided to have my master's degree in public health, specializing in health education, because I needed the education part the most as my strength along with Ayurveda knowledge, so that I can educate people good enough so that they can understand enough of what Ayurveda is. And that helped me a lot in my practice. If I compare it, when I was practicing in India, if I look at it from client's perspective, it has not changed a lot. In India, yes, people know what Ayurveda is, but they were still skeptical. They were still keeping allopathy as their mainstream medicine. I got very few who straightway would come to Ayurveda first, that, hey, I'm having this condition. Can Ayurveda help me first? If not, then I would like to go for allopathy. It has never happened. And I guess now, as Dr. Syed rightly said, the table has turned. Because now there is a fear in clients. There is a fear that, hey, even if I'm taking all my medication for diabetes, for hypertension, for thyroid, am I still safe? Am I still healthy enough to combat this virus, right? So that's when the complementary medicine is at its best. If you look at the world chart on top 5 diseases, most difficult and most prominent, 80% of those are chronic diseases. So chronic diseases is definitely where complementary and alternative medicine shines the best. Challenge legally, a lot. So in India, of course, we all know all Ayurvedic doctors are legally eligible to practice freely based on Ayurvedic principles. Whereas here in US, there are many, many, many limitations. As Yashasvi rightly said, we cannot put doctor in front of our names, which doesn't matter as long as we practice authentic Ayurveda. When I came 15 years ago, I had to search where should I go to get any kind of help related to Ayurvedic practice in US. I had to search for it. Now we have NAMA, which is National Ayurvedic Medical Association. They're very active. They have standardized the system. They are still in process. They are still growing. They are still growing in number of memberships, but they are doing their best. We have APNA, which is Association for Ayurvedic Physicians of North America. So these are the 2 major associations and organizations which are now helping Ayurvedic practitioners within US to come together and finally reach that goal of legalizing Ayurvedic practice and have a licensure. As we all know, in US, to practice medicine, licensing is the way to go. So the strengths and challenges, I always feel that nature has taken over now by means of showing us, let's go back to our roots. right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
So, and that was something I was going to discuss at a point, and I was going to bring that point. So you took the words out of my mouth. It's always, they say, go back to your roots and try to understand, and that's where even the healing starts, right? And go into the causative factor and heal, rather than looking for the chemicals. Or magic pill doesn't exist. And the reason I moved away from practicing allopathic medicine into public health was I wanted to get into the preventive field, because I know, while it does have a very good impact, allopathic medicine, but we also know it's not completely to be dependent on. So with that, I want to go to the next question to Dr. Benz. Dr. Benz, if you can unmute yourself. Tell us, what is the hiccups here for complementary or alternative medicine to come into the mainstream? You touched upon it a little bit, but we want to know the specific factors.
Well, I think one of your previous speakers alluded to it. The big hiccup is big pharma. They just have too much money and too much influence. And so a lot of the things that we have to do are political. They're not medical. We have to change the way our elections are done, and use public funding instead of funding through private sources, so that they stop
Dr. Benz, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself? Yes, okay. Go ahead. We didn't hear the last part.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's one of the main things we have to do is to change that whole medical that whole ability of big pharma to take control of the system and actually go in and distort all the science. They're actually having separate websites up there, not just Quackwatch. But if you look at all the studies that are coming out and you do a search on where the funding was coming from, a lot of the funding that has the distorted information in it is coming from the conventional medical community, trying to throw people off the track. Our job is to make sure we stay on the track. And one of the greatest advancements in the last 100 years for this happened in the Cleveland Clinic about 3 or 4 years ago, when the CEO of the Cleveland Clinic actually made the quote that functional medicine was the medicine of the future. And he actually decided to move towards that with a really meaningful budget, actually incorporated a Chinese medicine center, one of the first in the country. So I think this was a major movement. And one of the things that we know is that the decision makers know what they're doing is wrong, but they can't help themselves because they want to get elected again. And so in 2009, Mark Hyman, who is the chair of the Functional Medicine Institute, was involved in a 4-hour testimony with the US Senate Health Committee. And at the end of that, in one sentence, he summarized everything that had been said by all of the other speakers, Dean Ornish and Andrew Weil and all the rest of them. You will not solve the current health crisis if you just continue to try to do the wrong things better. And that, to me, was the best sentence that I'd ever heard in my whole life about this problem. They're trying to improve on the wrong things. And so I think one of the things that's a big problem is that we have doctors, integrated doctors, trying to work on this. Chiropractors are doing it. Acupuncturists are doing it. We have an integrated system in theory, but chiropractors don't know enough about nutrition and about energy medicine. The acupuncturists don't know enough about nutrition. All these people, the conventional medicine doctors get 6 hours of training in nutrition. So if go back to one of your other questions, what if I only had one thing that I could do? I would make every practitioner be forced to maintain their license if they learned about nutrition. That would be the one thing that I would do to change everything. And it's going to happen because people are doing it. Not because decision makers or doctors are doing it. People are leading the way. Go back to a Gandhi quote. I think he said, and I hope I'm not wrong, where are my people? I need to find them so I can lead them. Well, we need that very, very badly. And I think we need a leader that is also going to be that way. The one we have now is the worst we could possibly have. Anything would be better. But we need an inspirational leader who understands this part of medicine.
Very well said. Hina, I see your hand raised, but Dr. Jagannath is here, so hold on to your thought. Dr. Jagannath, hopefully you can hear us. Can you hear us, Dr. Jagannath? Okay.
Yes,
so,
I can hear.
Okay, so if your audio is pretty good, I just want to know one question: are you think enough is being done to integrate Siddha with the mainstream medicine, or do you think more needs to be done?
Nazira, every system has its own limitations. So integration is the only solution for the management of dreaded disease and autoimmune disorders, etc., etc. So integration is very, very important. Actually, as far as the Siddha system is concerned, it provides a lot of scope in certain areas. If you understand such things very deeply, it could set a trend, and we can create a lot of opportunities also. For example, for the management of chronic ailments, autoimmune disorders, dreaded diseases like cancer,
Sure, Dr. Jagannath. Okay. So, Dr. Jagannath, we are having a hard time. We're having a hard time with your audio, but we've sort of understood what you're getting to is that integration is the only way for complementary medicines to come into the mainstream. And I'm thinking he's saying that there needs to be more done. So Hina, go ahead until he comes back.
I just wanted to thank Dr. Benz on shining light, the real light, what's going on in real life. Thank you, and I appreciate you for that. I just wanted to add a quote that Maharshi Charak, who wrote Charaka Samhita, the original medicinal text for Ayurveda, it was, as Dr. Ben said, the one sentence says it all. One sutra, which we call the Ayurvedic, the Sanskrit sutra that Charaka had mentioned is, what's the use of medicine when your nutrition is wrong? And what is the need of medicine if your nutrition is right?
Well said.
So it says it all. There is no need of medicine if your diet is perfect for your body type. And that any medicine is not going to help if your diet is still wrong. That was one comment. And another was, I recently viewed an interview that Mr. Malhotra did with the executive director of NAMA, National Ayurvedic Medicine Association, and he almost was parallel to what Dr. Benz said just now, that all these complementary and alternative medicine are like prey, and the pharma industry or the allopathic medicine stream is like a predator. They are taking bites and pieces which are good for them, like, for example, Haridra, curcumin. Oh, people are behind it. Let's make a curcumin turmeric latte and we are good. Let's take extract of ashwagandha and try to see if they are showing positive efficacy in cancer. Harvard Medical School is doing this right now, clinical trials with ashwagandha extract, and try to see its effect on cancer. we are not saying it's wrong, but it is wrong to appreciate the stream where the roots are coming from. Ashwagandha is widely used in Siddha. I'm not sure about Unani, but in Siddha and Ayurveda, it is widely used. There are tons and tons of documentation available, what all conditions ashwagandha can treat. But just taking a bite and pieces from ashwagandha and patent it and saying it, okay, we are selling it. There are millions of people to buy it, but they're not understanding you are doing bad for your own health.
Got it. Yes. So basically, you're saying be more knowledgeable and know where you're getting the information from. I know Dr. Benz has a follow-up comment. Go ahead, Dr. Benz, and then I want to go to the yoga and Unani.
Well, you touched on a great point there, because one of the problems with this medicine is that they're doing monotherapies and they're doing mono analysis. So you take one element and you try to apply it. And then you wonder why you only get 30 or 40% of the people being benefiting from it. So what's been happening with reversing all these chronic illnesses, including Alzheimer's, is that we've gone away from the monotherapies. Now we're going to the multiple therapy approach. And Dr. Dale Bredesen found 38 different things that needed to be balanced in order for Alzheimer's to be stopped and reversed. And so in his book, Ending Alzheimer's, he explains in a very beautiful small clinical trial that addressing those 38 issues allowed 90% of these people with mild to moderate Alzheimer's to have their condition basically reversed. Now they've added hundreds of additional people to this study. They've now got maybe 2,000 or 3,000, maybe 5,000 doctors that have been trained in the Bredesen model. And so that's one of the best examples of a popularized version, that every opportunity that has been given to reverse a chronic disease has been reversed with multiple therapies. And so I think that's the key. And what she said is wonderful. All the studies that are out there, 99% of them are about one thing for one disease. That's not the way the body works. The body will never work that way. And so everything that people have been saying about the whole body is absolutely true. So we have to have all the biomarkers that are important. Then we have to create a system that personalizes the medicine for each person, because every person is different. But we've never had a system that allowed us to take all of this complicated biomedical information, biochemical information into one place and summarize it. And that's what this artificial platform does. And so that's what
very good. Thank you. Yes, and I guess it's personalized medicine. And once you get AYUSH or similar traditional modalities into the everyday mainstream practice, then I think you are creating that personalized holistic treatment modality. So thank you, Dr. Benz. So for the question is for Asya and Dr. Syed, the Unani is, where do you see, and before I get to you, I want to hear from Ravinder. Hold on one second. So Ravinder, if you can unmute yourself, and maybe this is a question for all of you before I head to Syed and Asya separately, is sometimes the traditional Indian medicine has a feeling that there might be a religion associated with it. So the Western culture sometimes stays away. I remember at some point yoga was in the schools in US, and then there was this huge chaos that it's more affiliated with a specific religion. So then they took out yoga, and then by the time it came back, they had to do a lot of understanding and awareness. So is that how do you address that yoga is universal, it's not annotated to any specific religion? Because I think the Western culture has that fear that maybe another religion is being implicated or inflicted upon them.
Yeah, thank you, Nazira. As Dr. Ben says, it's individual. So yoga is for everybody. It's not particularly for this thing, community or nation or something. It is for everyone. Every human can be benefited with yoga. So it is again individual. Like as you've seen Rajendran's son, who is 3 years, he is doing amazing asanas. So it is slowly. You see, everybody will not have the flexibility. Muscle strengthening will not be there. So slowly, people will get used to the asanas, flexibility, strengthening. Slowly it will come. So, but we need to keep practicing daily. You have to spend minimum 1 hour for yourself. Keep your 60 minutes for yourself doing asanas. This will slowly, one day, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, you will find it, a little improvements. But slowly, by 1.5 years time, you will see a total different change. It becomes, you have to make yoga as a part of your life. When you make this as a part of life, you will see a great changes, not only in health wise, your mind, this thing also. So total harmony happens. As I said, yoga, it is a combination of mind and body. So when the both start working in harmony, you will have a healthy this thing.
Very nice. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Syed and Asiya, I know you're here. I know Dr. Jagannath also. As soon as I see Dr. Jagannath, I'm like, I don't want to let him go. I want to ask him the question right now. So if you can hold on for a second. Dr. Jagannath, if you can quickly tell us, while you have the connection, where do you see Siddha in 5 or 10 years?
Actually, we have a lot of hope in certain areas, especially in the area of autoimmune disorders. We have plenty of medicine. Siddha offers plenty of medicines, plenty of immunomodulators like Nellika legium, Amucra legium, Seendil churnam. Then Kayakalpam is the area to be concentrated more in future, because it offers 108 Kayakalpa procedures. The Kayakalpa medicines, when we talk about the benefits, Narai Thirai, Moopu, Pini, Sakadi, Indri, Endrum, Balaragi irupadu. It prevents Narai, graying of hair, Thirai, wrinkles of skin, Moopu, it prevents aging process, Sakad means it will prevent death, Pini, it will prevent disease. So prevention, we all know that prevention is better than cure. So we have to develop very potent preventive medicines for the sake of people. But Siddha offers 108 Kayakalpa procedures. These medicines are supposed to be having immunomodulating and anti-cancer medicines. Like Rasagandhi Melugu, Nandi Melugu, Van Melugu, Chanduram, then Rasasundaram, Chitramala, many medicines are there to treat cancer. Then even viral epidemics also, we have potent antiviral medicines like Nilavambu Kudinir, Kabajara Kudinir, Sarvajara Kudinir, Vishajara Kudinir, Badajara Kudinir, Pitajara Kudinir. So we are very strong enough in certain areas. Especially, I am repeating, the field of autoimmune disorders, lifestyle disorders, immunodeficiency conditions, then cancer, then viral epidemics. So you asked me about integration. I have a very strong belief in integrated therapy.
So, Dr. Jagannath, you got cut off there. So, thank you so much for all those. We can definitely see the passion that you have. So, the question for Dr. Syed and Dr. Asiya are. So, do you? Yeah, go ahead, Ravinder. Quick comment. Yes.
One part about the Kayakalpa yoga, what Dr. Jagannath was referring. If everyone in the world start doing this Kayakalpa yoga, they will see amazing benefits. So people should enjoy the Kayakalpa benefits. See, it is a very simple 3 steps yoga, which will take a maximum about 5 minutes. So it rejuvenates your vitality. It improves your immunity. There are more than 100+ benefits with this yoga. So my recommend is to everyone. So it increases your youthfulness. So you can prolong your age. And, you, as he said, you can postpone your death also.
Wow.
So the vitality is remained. Your regeneration will take place within the body by doing this yoga. So I recommend everyone to do this Kaya Kalpa yoga. So very, very beneficial, very good for everyone.
Thank you so much, Ravinder, for that good tip. So Dr. Syed and Dr. Asya, finally we come to you, and tell us what is the biggest challenge for Unani at this moment, and what is that we can help, or as co-practitioners or colleagues can do to advance not just in Unani but in the Ayush field. Dr. Asya, you want to start?
I just talked about the opportunities, but now about the challenges. Challenges are much than one can comprehend, because in India and abroad. So if we talk about India, the biggest challenge with Unani system of medicine particularly is the language. Since the original text is in the languages that are not spoken these days, like Persian and Arabic, other languages in which the original text is available. So there is the dearth of actual translation into the text, so that how can one reach the original source? CCRUM, Central Council for Research in Unani Medicine, is a government organization, and it is doing under with this Ayush ministry. They are doing a lot in translation, but still they have to go a long way in providing the references and the actual translation of the original text. One thing. The other thing is the availability of the drug is not, is a very potential barrier in practicing the practitioners Unani medicine in far-flung areas, because Unani medicine is not available everywhere. Pharmacognosy is an issue with them. So if the drug which is used for a particular issue is not authentic or is not the original one, how can we expect the desired pharmacological actions? So this is the one major issue with this, why the drugs are not yielding the expected results they are supposed to. The third thing is the quality control drugs are not available, and evidence-based research is also required. And in this field also, besides from the therapeutic aspect, but for research aspect, there should be some integration between all system of medicine, because as far as diagnosis is concerned, or investigation is concerned, modern tools are to be used in standard protocols should be designed with multicentric studies, and the data which is available, because Unani system is basically based on the observation and in the practice of physicians for centuries. And that is why WHO has given a green signal for using these drugs without any clinical study. But still one need to go meet the standard of randomized control trials. RCTs should be first so as to make it scientifically validated.
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Asya. Dr. Syed, do you think your practice of medicine is competing with all the others here? If it is a competitive field, do you guys refer your patients to each other like Unani refers to Ayurveda? I just want to know more.
Yes, means the cooperation is total here, means not just Unani within alternative medicine field, but allopathic. Here practice is like that, means once you are licensed, you will be sitting with all the allopathic doctors also in a polyclinic. You are specialists of one specialty, the others are other specialty. So once they are aware, means which Pati has good treatment, they usually refer. There is no problem with that. The other thing is here, because it is now 17-18 years, it is officially registered. So most of the insurance companies also cover us. You are taking the point about faith healing. So the thing is, whichever scientist who is taking out some remedy, his mere intention will be to serve the population as a whole, for the benefit of the population. So we see only because nobody wants to study. Whoever is unable to study 5.5 years of medicine to get a degree, they connect it certain part of it which is beneficial or which is becoming popular towards faith. Like in Unani also, we have the bed cupping, that is hijama, which is very much popular. So although it is part of Unani field, so since our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam got it done, it has become Sunnah. So most of the faith healer, they come and tell that this is part of prophetic medicine, and they just want to practice as a shortcut. So these are everywhere some lacuna, but who are qualified and who understand the background of the person, they obviously prefer those who are well qualified. So those advantages and disadvantages are already there, means for every field. So like in allopathic also, a lot of RMPs and all they come into practice as in the case of India. But other countries and all, faith is such a thing, means to get this shortcut towards any sort of practice. So that means it doesn't affect if you are well qualified and if you are licensed to practice.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So I want to know, among all the practitioners we have, all the Ayush practitioners, I've always seen in the movies, they touch the pulse of the woman and they're able to say, oh yeah, she's carrying or she's pregnant. Is that true? How many can do that?
Yes, means it is part of Unani also. It's nubs healing, means the pulse diagnosis. So basically in ancient period, there were no laboratory techniques and all to means that to test the exact way and all. So if you see the history, the old Hakims or Ved, early in the morning, they used to sit in front of their house, checking everybody's nerve to get expertise. It is believed that it will take 12 to 15 years to become 100% expert. So nowadays, you can't find much expert in this, but even I can diagnose 5 to 6 diseases, especially related to a heart and if psychological anxiety issues and all. So those things, most of them, because now everything required evidence. So until and unless you don't do any test evidence, this thing you don't have. So those things are becoming rare nowadays.
Sure. So does that exist in Siddha and homeopathy and Ayurveda as well? So Dr. Benz, did you hear me? So as soon as they touch the pulse, they're able to tell what disease or illness the patient or client is potentially suffering from. And how do I know? Is because I've watched in movies, they tell a person she's pregnant just by touching her pulse. And so Dr. Said just mentioned it comes with a lot of experience. Dr. Jagannath and then Hina and then Yashasvi. Dr. Jagannath? Okay, Hina.
Actually, in Siddha system of medicine, we are confirming the disease by pulse reading only. Then another test is also there. It is called a Neikuri. We will collect a urine sample and we will put 1 drop of gingerly oil. Then we will watch how it spreads. Based on the spreading nature, we can confirm which particular tumor is impaired. So we have 2 important diagnostic tools. It is a pulse reading as well as a Neikuri. So advantage of these diagnostic methods are we could confirm the diagnosis and we could assess the prognosis. In the first visit itself, we could say whether the condition is probable or incurable. So we are giving much priority for pulse reading and Neikuri in Siddha system.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Dr. Benz and then Hina and then Yashasvi. Go ahead, Dr. Benz.
Yes, I love the fact that someone brought up the pulse as a variable. There's a new technology out that's incorporating artificial intelligence into it. It's called heart rate variability. And with this new wearable device, you can actually tell not only what your existing challenges are, if you eat something, within a half an hour, you'll be able to tell whether your body likes it or doesn't like it. And so this has an more enormous potential to combine some of the things that we learned about artificial intelligence through the functional medicine platform with the heart variability thing to find out real-time medicine, real-time personalized medicine. So to me, if I had to summarize everything, In one word, it would be reduce the greed and follow the science.
Yes, thank you. Hina, go ahead. And then I do want Dr. C.K. Ashok to give his comments as well. Hina, in Ayurveda, do you do pulse read?
Yes, yes. Nadi Vignan, which is the pulse science, it is deep rooted in Ayurveda. As Dr. Syed rightly said, yes, it takes years of experience to study it. Our gurus, our rishis used to sit in meditation for hours together. Forget about hours. They used to sit in meditation for days and years together. There is something called intuition. Intuition is not magic. You can cultivate, you can progress, and you can improve on your intuition.
And
so
I can see both the Unani doctors actually smiling when you're saying
yes,
that.
Yes, and nodding their heads. Exactly. Yes. So going back to pulse diagnosis, it is a science and no one can learn it within hours or days or weeks. Yes, it takes years. That reminds me of one of my experience while volunteering at BAPS health fair here in Atlanta, US. A client came to me and will you catch my pulse? That was his first question. Will you catch my pulse? Will you check my pulse? And I said, of course, that is part of our diagnosis. We must do that. And he's skeptical about Ayurveda. So while communicating with him, asking a few questions, I could guess his prakriti, which is, we call it body type, which is also an important part of Ayurvedic diagnosis. And he said, I'm going through some health conditions, but I want you to tell me what am I going through. So he was kind of testing my knowledge, more than mine Ayurvedic knowledge. So I said, yes, let's go for it. I hope I'm right. At least I'm closer to what you're going through. And after checking his pulse for a minute or two, I just asked him one question: how is your sinus? And his jaw wide open, his eyes wide open. How did you know that? And I'm like, it's not magic. Trust me, it is science. I just asked you, how is your sinus? And he said, I've been suffering from sinusitis since last 15 years. Finally, they figured out that nasal septum is involved, and he was recommended for the surgery. And he said, I already started some Ayurvedic supplements when I was in California, and I'm getting better. But what can I do more? Since I'm visiting Atlanta, I just happened to be at this health fair, and the conversation goes on. So my whole purpose of narrating this experience is trust the system that you're going towards. If you're doing Unani, trust it. Follow the authentic knowledge. If you're going with Ayurveda, with homeopathy, with only nutrition-based science, every science is true. You need to trust it. That's the first step towards healing. And secondly, remain in the belief system. Trust your own health, that you are doing your best to improve your own health. So you need to trust the system first of all.
Thank you, Hina. Very well said. And in that matter, confidence, and even in any tasks that you take, they say is have belief within yourself as well. So I know Dr. Asya was having a comment, and then I'm going to go to Yashasvi. Go ahead, Dr. Asya.
Talking about the pulse and other things, so I would like to tell that the Unani system of medicine is having a tremendous wealth of these metaphysical entities and fundamental assumptions and philosophical outlook that is very much important to take into consideration. And I also admit that these things are very difficult to take into account these days in this stressful life, because one needs to go sound sleep, as Dr. Hina was telling, that saints were used to make sound sleep, and also in temples they were made they were given therapeutic massages so that they can have a sound sleep, and then the next morning they can, when they go to their practice, they can make a better use of their intuitions. So these things are already very much there, and people are again coming back to the roots. They are gradually and slowly realizing the importance of these things. But at the same time, I would say that, like everything else, these things also have got certain limitations. Not every condition can be assessed and can be diagnosed, and one should not hesitate using the modern tools, because this is not no any system is custodian of such kind of tools. These are the modern tools of diagnosis and investigation. So wherever needed, one should also use those.
Very well said. Yes, definitely. And I think that's where the integrated, the collaborative approach comes through, that you do make sure you do refer them to when the modern medicine is needed at the right time, so it's not too delayed. So Yashasvi, go ahead. We want to know about homeopathy. Is there pulse reading? And where do you see homeopathy in 5 to 10 years?
So in homeopathy, the pulse reading is not a very big part of the diagnosis. We rely more on how the person talks, how the person is dressed, how the person is behaving, what energy is coming out of that person. But I do want to address this particular comment that you made about how in the Indian movies, the doctor usually comes and checks the pulse and tells if the woman is pregnant. And it's a very simple thing. When you're pregnant, your cardiac output is increased by 30 to 50%. So if this doctor had seen this woman before she was pregnant and is now seeing her when she's missed her period for like 2 or 3 months, then he would find a heart rate which is 30 to 50% higher in number than it was when he saw her before she was pregnant. So that's how our Indian movie doctors are able to diagnose a pregnancy by just checking the pulse. As in closing, I would love to quote Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. And when he wrote the Organon, which is the philosophy of homeopathy, that's our Bible, his beginning, his motto for us was Orde Sapere, which is a German phrase. And what it means is dare to be wise. So my message to everybody who's attending this webinar today is dare to be wise. Go out and find the answers. Don't just blindly follow what your white coat is saying to you, because there's nothing more important than what you put inside your body, the air that you breathe, the food that you eat, the diet, the exercise, the sunshine, the air. All of those things are way more important than just going and popping pills. So dare to be wise and go and find all the right answers for your optimum health.
Very well said, and thank you for such a wonderful message, including sleep. I think many a times sleep has kept most of us, or all of us, that we wake up fresh next day, ready to tackle any problems, including the reason I didn't go specifically to COVID was because I think you already mentioned during this time, COVID is teaching us go back to your roots. So you're seeing more and more patients moving out of not just allopathy treatment, not because they're not satisfied, but they're looking for improving immunity right from nature. So I think we are sort of including the COVID conversation into everything we are speaking. So as we are coming to a close, I want Dr. C.K. Ashok to do the final comments, but then I do have 30 seconds. So Dr. Benz, we'll start with you. Your comment, and then a 20-second closing comments.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. I just want to say very quickly, in looking at all the information that was shared today, I think everybody should understand and start with the understanding that everybody is biochemically different. There's a book written in the 1950s called Biochemical Individuality. And what Dr. Rogers found out was that somebody can have 250,000 beta cells in their pancreas. Another person may have 2.5 million. You've just changed the variable of your likelihood of having diabetes by 10 times. So if you don't know what your biochemical individuality is, you don't know what your starting point is. From that point forward, your genotype is what you're born with, but your phenotype is what happens from the day you're born to the day you die. And the phenotype now is going to be tested for the first time. There's a company in London that has a phenotype test that will actually tell you how your cells have changed up to that point in your life. And then finally, I think that you have to realize that we have to have this early warning approach where we find things sooner. The sooner we can find cells moving in the direction of disease, the more effective the therapies will be. And at some point, people may need therapeutic levels of certain nutrients because diet alone will not do it. We know that 90% of the people in the world and in the United States have metabolic challenges. This was found out in a study by Stanford University 2 weeks ago. 88% of the people have therapeutic metabolic challenges, and the World Health Organization said 95% of people in the world have metabolic health challenges. So we're all not doing the right things. And so we have to follow this credo of we're all biochemically different. We have to find out what our phenotype is like. We then have to treat it accordingly, and we have to find these treatments as early as possible. That's probably the best way I could summarize what I think is needed.
And we appreciate your time, and we appreciate your time and all the knowledge you shared. And Hina, while doing your all of you doing your final comments, I'm going to ask one or two questions that the audience also has asked. So if you can incorporate that into your final comments. One of the questions that has been asked is becoming a senior too late to practice any alternative medicine? So,
sorry, Nazira, I couldn't hear.
The question is, how difficult is it for seniors to start practicing the alternative or the complementary medicine? And then with your final comments, please.
Seniors start practicing Ayurvedic practice in US?
So I think it's a general question. Is it too late for seniors to start practicing any complementary medicine?
No, it's never too late to start doing the right thing. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just the most important part is to start, take the first step, right? So no, it's not at all difficult. As I had mentioned, NAMA, National Ayurvedic Medical Association, is a good website. You can start exploring. My last message could be, I summarized it in a key. I call it a mock key. M stands for mindful.
Dr. Ashok, can you mute your phone for now until we come back to you? Yes, go ahead, Hina.
Sure. So it is a mock key. M stands for mindful. Mindful is not just, is your mind full or are you aware doing? So mindful is the M. O stands for organized. And C stands for continuous. Have your mock key with you, your mindful, organized, and continuous efforts of building your immunity. Because I'm talking about immunity because that's the most happening word right now that I am receiving questions about. How can I improve immunity for my kids? How can I improve immunity for myself? It's all about immunity. Immunity is not a pill. Immunity is not a shot. You have to open the mock key to improve your immunity. So we are here. Help, you have the help. Do you want to wait till the help comes to you, or do you want to search for your immunity? That's the question everybody attending today needs to ask to themselves.
Thank you so much, Hina.
Thank you.
Very well said. I know you're opening yourself to initial consultation soon, and we'll get the info out in the email. So, Dr. Syed, there was a question very directed to you by one of the attendees or the participant. Is there Unani treatment beneficial? Is a Unani treatment beneficial in tuberculoma? You don't have to answer it specifically, but then if you can, but we want to hear your final comments before we close the session.
I think Dr. Ashia can take this question because a lot of this type of cases comes in India, so they are usually treating such cases. There are treatment, but it all depends what level and how chronic it has become. All these things have to be considered. So in Unani practice, we see their temperament, their the humoral balance and all. So whatever is imbalance, it has to be properly checked. Then only you can do the treatment. So online treatment wise, it's not possible to getting the history and giving the solutions. So if you have Unani practitioner there who can properly check and do the treatment, that would be ideal. Okay. The other I want to add the question which you had asked, Dr. Hina had answered regarding, is it late to start means practicing? No, means for practicing, until and unless you don't gain proper knowledge, then it is if you have proper knowledge, it's good. Any period you can start practicing, but without gaining any knowledge, because in Unani means for medicine also they are grading first degree, second, third, fourth. Third and fourth degree medicines are poisonous. So if you don't have knowledge and if you're prescribing such medicines, it will means it's fatal. So that's why it means proper knowledge is important, and any age you can practice. So that's why it means gaining knowledge is very much important. It's not a shortcut for any coming out in practice.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate your time this evening. I know you had to skip your clinics, and I'm thankful to your patients for allowing you to be here with us to impart that knowledge. Dr. Asiya, 30-second closing comments, please. If you have to unmute yourself, Dr. Asiya. Can you unmute? Okay, so while Dr. Asiya is trying to, Yashasvi, we'll come back to you, Dr. Asiya. Yashasvi, why don't you do the 30-second closing comments? Because I know we're already at 12:30. I want to finish it in 2 minutes.
Sure. So my closing comments to everybody is, be an informed patient. Take care of your family. Go out and find the information you need to help your family. And the most other thing that I'd like to add, which is another one of my mottos, is pay it forward. So pay it forward is a very important thing that I want everybody to walk away from with today's seminar, is to do a good deed in your life, in everyday life. So just go out and do a kind deed, pay it forward, and it'll all come back to you. And if each one of us did a pay it forward, the world would be such a beautiful place for us all to be in.
Oh, thank you. And I learned so much about homeopathy, one of the safest, and I know they talked about the dilution. It's one of the most diluted,
yes.
So there's no harm or anything. So I'm enjoying learning about homeopathy as well. Thank you, Yashasvi, for your time this entire morning. We appreciate you. So Dr. Asiya, you're back on. How about 30-second closing comments?
Yeah. See, first coming to the question, online, somebody asked about online consultation. Is it possible? So I would say that, and I, feel in strong agreement with what Dr. Benz has been saying, that every person has got a different and individualistic biochemical configuration. So one prescription which is beneficial for one cannot yield the same effect in the other. So considering your personalized configuration, one can easily get aware about your own body and your level of resilience. Then one should go, and this holistic health is not an entity which can be bought from anywhere or can be found some clinic. It is an attitude which has to be created. It has to be earned by mindful adopting the lifelong and healthy choices. So take care of your body as a prime importance, and respect your individuality.
Thank you so much. Very, very well said and much needed as well. Ravindra, why don't we get your 30-second closing comments? And we want to thank each one of you for this time that you've given to us to impart this knowledge to all the viewers and us as well. Go ahead, Ravindra.
Thank you, Nazira. And over in this event, I personally thank, and to end this thing, I just want to say only 2-3 words. First, have a good physical body, peaceful mind, and a pure soul. So, to all this, to have in a harmony, you have to do yoga. So, yoga is a one thing which, as everybody says, prevention is better than cure. So the prevention will start from yoga. So once active mind, active body is there, then peaceful soul also can be attained by doing yoga. This has to be implemented. Just take 1 hour of your time So, and it will take care of your 24 hours a day. And not only from the activities, your sleep pattern, everything, your entire immunity levels also will change. So just you have to spare 1 hour for yourself. You have to take care of yourself. So this is very much for every individual.
Thank you, Ravinder, and I bet all your students are very fortunate to have you as a teacher. You're really very passionate about your subject. So thank you so much for that wonderful words.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Dr. Jagannath, your closing comments, 30 seconds. Okay, so while Dr. Jagannath...
Is it audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Hello? And for the community. Trend is changing. Personalized medicine will be the future choice. Already Siddha caters this area. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very well said. And we enjoyed learning about Siddha. And I bet there are so many physicians and so many researchers waiting to collaborate with actually each one of you. So if that opens up avenues or opportunities, if it comes to me, I'll definitely open it up and I'll give your contact details in the follow-up email. So if they need to collaborate with you all individually for their research practices from US, which needs, so that we have more scientific proof in proving the effectiveness of these modalities. We'll definitely keep you in touch, right? We'll keep in touch with you. Dr. C.K. Ashok, we come to you.
Yeah.
Please let's...
So, I think the US...
You're the ambassador.
US has got a lot to play in popularizing our ancient traditional medicines. The Indians, when US embraced yoga, it has become more than $100 billion, and worldwide, every country practiced yoga. So now more than 200 countries practice yoga. The leader inspiration was given by US. So likewise, AYUSH will get a lease if US, that is Nama and Apna, if they start, there is a lot of responsibility on them. And if they promote and propagate AYUSH in US, then the worldwide it will become very popular. I think in right direction you have done it. One experience I would like to share is Varma therapy is very one of the ancient Siddha tradition. Now it is integrated with orthopedic hospitals in Malaysia. So the AYUSH director, Sendil Vale, has brought in a few Varma therapists from Nagarkoil, which is a place where the Varma is very popular and it is originated. So people are feeling very happy with the integrated approach of orthopedic system when Varma therapy is given along with orthopedics. So the way forward is to combine every system and then live and let live others. Today there is a feeling that allopathy is the best, but I think the way forward is all should come together, and the patient's health and his cure is the utmost importance, and everybody should come together and not fight with each other and say I am the best. I think you have opened the discussion very nicely. I am very happy to have, and also given a platform for the young Dharanishwaran, who hope he will become a yoga guru and become another Deepak Chopra, very popular in here and globally. Thank you very much for the platform for all.
Thank you so much. And
also to share all the contacts of those participants.
Yes, we will in a follow-up email, definitely. And thank you so much. Very well said, Dr. Ashok, truly an ambassador for AYUSH and Ayushpathy. And you talked about the succession plan. Yes, it's all about leaving the legacy behind so there's someone else to get hold of the knowledge that you've gained, right? It's all about unity, it's all about unison and harmony, and understanding your own body before increasing the knowledge and awareness about what exists out there, and then trying to find the right practitioner whom you can go ahead with. And definitely there's no magic pill in any treatment, but make sure what works for you with full faith and wisdom and knowledge that you gain. So thank you again. I know we are 10 minutes past the time. Go ahead. Okay. He doesn't want to leave. Go ahead. Dr. Siki, we can hear you. Okay, so thank you again so much for your morning, sharing your morning with us, all the panelists and all the viewers. We'll send a follow-up email. Again, this is our Chai and Just Chat session. August is our 3rd year anniversary. Every month we've been tackling different topics. If you're interested, please reach out on our website and suggest other topics that you're interested in. And thank you again to Siddha expert, naturopathy, yoga, Unani, homeopathy, and Ayurveda, and the ambassador as well. I know it's late in India, it's probably 10. So wish you all peace, wish you all good immunity, wish you all health and a safe way forward. Thank you again for all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nazira.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was very nice, this thing. It was nice to know all the other practitioners from different parts of the world. Thank you. Bye. Congratulations.
Bye, everyone.